Happy morning, Gayatri here. Multiple realizations over the last few weeks, but I wanted to share specifically one of them. And this is answer to one of the person's questions. Rajan said, in office, how can I do the first and last? So in the morning, I can ask myself, today, what am I going to do? How am I going to live today? And at the end of the day, I can ask, how could I have improved myself through the day? And both of that is so brilliant. And I've started trying to do it even middle of the day. Sometime in the middle, we have a quiet room, and then I just go there and say, what could I have done differently since the morning? Typically around 12 o'clock, I do that. And then again, probably around 4:30, I just try to go and sit down and say, what could I have done differently? And initially, nothing came. First 2-3 days, it was like, blank. Okay. One thing, okay, maybe you shouldn't have said this way. But increasingly, every day I get, hey, why don't you delegate it this better? Or why don't you do this better? Tomorrow you can try this. And it's just brilliant. It's just beautiful trying to do that. The second one is, I've not been in Top Gear, and I don't know what Top Gear is. But one thing I just felt, there was one particular day, and I just felt, in class, Rajan has shared, in Top Gear, you just connect with your source, your existence in multiple different places and things like that. Somehow that has lingered in me. And one day, when I was just walking, somehow I was connecting with the beach. I was connecting with that erican chedi under that flower looked so beautiful, so pretty. I just felt like I was totally with it. And I thought, maybe this is what is Top Gear, and this is what I'm living today. Thank you so much, Rajan. Brilliant life.
I'll take a question. Anybody who has a question? Yes.
It's about writing the diary and appointment. Can highlight on the art of how we need to prioritize, because there are so many petty things like maybe collecting a document or collecting a check, which we generally say, okay, one day we write and we postpone it, okay, we'll do it some other time, but then it goes out of focus. Maybe after a month's time we remember, okay, this document is collected. So how to improve on the diary writing, the appointments, prioritizing the work?
First of all, I'm not a believer of diary, you know that. I don't believe in writing a diary. I don't want to tell you what is there in my mind. My mind is saying a fool with a tool is still a fool, but I don't want to say that. Okay. Your secretary, your clerical staff should have diaries. You should not have. Why should you remember you have to collect a document? Somebody should remember a document should be collected. They need a diary. Because when all you'll have mood and when all you'll delegate something nobody knows, suddenly you will think when you are in the toilet, document has to be collected. From there you'll send a message. So that poor fellow does not know from when your instruction will come, when all your instructions. So he has to write, document has to be collected. That's not for you. If you have to open a diary and remember, today is my wife's birthday. All these guys have stored in mobile wife's birthday. And what I'm not able to accept is in wife's name they have put her wedding anniversary. மெக்கானிக்கலா அன்னைக்கு ஒரு பொக்கே அனுப்பிச்சிருவோம் அவனே நீ காலி நீ. Anyhow, now that you are using charts, diaries, you are in that level right now, let me address you. Never write today. That's what we write in our diary. Today we write, document has to be collected day after tomorrow. Never write. Document has to be collected day after tomorrow. Take the day after tomorrow in the diary and there write, today document has to be collected. But one thing you should remember, day after tomorrow you should open the diary and see. Okay. See, that who will remind, I don't know. But if you do that, In day after tomorrow, you will see document has to be collected. So I go and meet somebody and he says, can we meet on October 5th? What is very important is, you have to take October 5th and there write down, I have to see him. You writing today, I have to see him on October 5th does not make any sense at all. So as long as you have that futuristic perspective to a diary, and that morning when you come to work, you open the diary, which is something very, very important. A diary kept inside the drawer never works. Simple thing. If the dictionary is kept on the table from which you work, you will see the dictionary at least twice every day. If the dictionary is kept in the book rack, it will not be seen even once. That's all. Very simple. It will not be seen at all. If all the pictures of God is hung behind you, varavalla nallavanarpa, because they see God and go back, you will continue to be a rascal. You have to see God. So you better keep God this side, so that when you are about to tell him a lie, you will remember, oh, he's seeing me, he's seeing me. You will be honest. Now what is happening? You have conveniently kept God in the background. Whoever is coming to see you is honest. Okay. So basically what you don't see, you will not use. That's all. So the diary has to be in front of you. So once you see it, then you will see what to do with the whole thing. It makes an enormous amount of sense. Uma. If I had known, her question is, how to help people to move from pain to pleasure, how to help people to move from wrong to right, how to help people to understand right is pleasure and wrong is pain, she is asking. If I had known that, you think I would have been teaching for 17 years? In one instant I would have transformed all of you. I would have spoken once and all of you would have got transformed. Your karma is, you will not be able to move from pain to pleasure. My karma is, in trying to help you, I will teach for the rest of my life. Awareness. The more and more you become aware. It's not because you listen to a speech on anger, you will ever be able to overcome anger. Your own awareness should make you aware the futility of anger. It is doing more harm to me than bringing good into me, and one day you will realize. It's not because you have heard a speech on the importance of taking care of your health will be taken care. It is when you become aware that not taking care of your health is going to create more trouble to you than anybody else, and that one awareness will one day make you realize, if I don't exercise, I'm feeling good. But will I continue to feel good? No, I will not. Eventually your awareness will help you to realize what Krishna tries to explain in the Gita. What immediately appears as nectar will eventually turn out to be poison. What immediately appears to be poison will eventually turn out to be nectar. If you are a creation of instincts, then you'll only look what you can see immediately and live your life. So you'll see this as poison and avoid, and you'll see this as nectar and have it. But man has not been designed to live out of his instincts. Man is designed to live out of his intelligence. And intelligence must be able to see further than what instincts are able to see. When I see further, I realize, though the door seems to be poison, it opens up into a world of nectar. Though the door seems to be nectar, it opens into a world of poison. So let me use my intelligence and understand, when it comes to matters of pain, it's always better to voluntarily embrace temporary pain, and that's the only way to avoid permanent pain. When it comes to matters of pleasure and happiness, it's always better to avoid temporary pleasure so that I can embrace lasting happiness. So somewhere if man can learn to look beyond the immediate sensual gratification, and what is there beyond that? This whole process of discipline, of volunteering to embrace pain because I know through that door I'll experience a life of pleasure. and volunteering to avoid temporary pleasure because I know through this I have avoided lasting pain will come in. Even this answer of mine can only provide that awareness to you. திருடனே பார்த்து திருந்தாவிட்டால் திருட்டை ஒழிக்க முடியாது. In fact, that was one of the questions that was asked to me yesterday by one of the leading newspapers, Dainik Bhaskar, yesterday. They said, how can we solve this corruption? I said, no, it cannot be solved. I'm not being pessimistic about it, but it cannot be solved. From today, everybody will start watching Champions League. Nobody cares about what has happened. They will all get interested in watching the next movie. Life will go back. And those who are framed for corruption, through corruption, will come out as uncorrupt people. You are catching him because he is caught in a 600 crore scandal. But if he pays you 700 crores, you will excuse him. And the 700 crores he will earn through another scandal which is 1200 crores. Because if there is wrong, that can be corrected. But people have become wrong. The action is wrong. Legislation can correct it. Constitution can correct it. Governments have changed. What has changed for all of you? What has changed for all of you? Governments have changed. In fact, the bribe has gone up. From less, it has become more. What has changed? If he comes, one cable television will do well. If somebody else comes, another cable television will do well. What about your life is going to change? தப்பு பண்ணிட்டான்னா திருத்தலாம். தப்பானவன் அவன் எப்படி திருத்துறது? Somebody who has performed an act that is wrong can be corrected. The person itself is wrong. So the only solution is if we can work for another 25 to 30 years on the younger minds. And for a change, we don't teach Akbar and Aurangzeb. I was just sharing with Sucharita while coming to the mastermind. We have been teaching history of all the kings and the British and the Mughal to children, which is all about war. Aurangzeb is war, Akbar is war, Ghaznis are war, Goris are war, Britishers are war, Mughals are war. So what the entire generation has learned ever since independence is, in the name of history we have taught them war, taught them war, taught them war, and we have created a world of terrorists. Because he has only learned fighting. Even when you want to teach Jesus Christ to a child, teach him about his forgiveness, teach him about his love, teach him about his compassion. But what you teach is crucifixion. He died because of your sins, all of your sinners. He died only because of you. Why don't you teach there is another positive side of it? Why don't you teach that? Krishna means gopis. Krishna means will conspire, will manipulate. But there's a lot more to it. Krishna means war, Kurukshetra. But there's a lot more to Krishna. Why don't you teach that? There's a lot more to the character of Rama. Why don't you explain that? Like that, if we can teach 30 years history of all the people who lived a good life and what happened to their life, and all the people who lived a bad life, with all the crores of money, you're sitting in the jail. And your loved ones with all the money in the crores can't sleep a single night peacefully because the one I love the most is somewhere in the jail. Or even if you have not gone to the jail, can you be peaceful a single day of your life? If you can't enjoy what you have, why have? If you cannot enjoy what you have a single day of your life, what are you going to do with what you have? If for another 30 years we teach these children, what does not come through right channels cannot be used for right. And do not serve right purposes. If we can give enough evidences to those children, 25, 30 years later, we'll have a new generation which will understand there is only one way to live life if I have to be peaceful. And from that generation, a set of leaders will come. That will be the salvation. This will all go. It will create hype, it will create a lot of drama. So that awareness has to be created. This answering this question is also, you have to repeatedly create that awareness, create that awareness, create that awareness, create that awareness. How many Almanites right now within the proximity of Chennai right now must be sleeping? How many of them are today there in the mastermind because they managed to wake up today? That doesn't mean they will all come to the next mastermind. Mine is not like one Shah Rukh Khan movie or a Hrithik Roshan's movie or a Rajinikanth's movie which was filmed once and it was great and you saw it 3 times. Mine is for 17 years, 52 masterminds. Every mastermind is an individual movie which is extraordinary. And even to that, I know people who live 2 streets away from here who are right now sleeping and not there in the mastermind. Because they still live their life out of the pleasure of sleep and the pain of getting up from sleep and coming. How many of you must be there? 300 of you. Of all the thousands of people I have taught and created, of which at least 90% of them will say, whatever I'm in life, it's because my life and alma mater crossed each other. Out of that, 300 of you 17 years later want me Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. For the rest of you, it's a matter of convenience. Rest of you are floating population. If you are feeling free, if you got up, if you feel like coming, you will come, otherwise you will not come. 17 years later, the journey to still convince them, this is the right thing to do, to be with me. Associate pleasure to it and come. They have their stories. I've heard enough. I know enough. I've learned enough. I know it. There's nothing new to learn. They come for the experience of experience, and that they anyhow have even if they close their eyes. It'll be a lifelong quest. Humanity has been designed with this deficiency of war between instincts and intelligence. And this war between instincts and intelligence will continue to be, which is the scope for human evolution itself. So it's not something we can just talk to somebody and convert them, and from now onwards they will only do what is right and everything right will be associated. It's a lifelong quest, even unto yourself, leave alone others. Even unto yourself it's a lifelong quest, and it will remain a lifelong quest. 2 announcements. 1, they are not giving us this hall for the next Sunday. So they wanted for something. So we did have an alternative. We thought that initially we'll take another hall. Then it's the whole logistics of a new batch coming in. And I'll have to tell the entire new batch to come to another venue and then tell them from next week you have to come to this venue. Didn't want to go through the whole thing. So next mastermind, we don't have a physical mastermind. We'll continue to have the webcast. One of the 2 DVDs, either what I spoke in Hyderabad, where is this thing called love, or what I spoke in Mumbai, do I need a reason to be happy? So a DVD of the entire period will be played. So we'll have only a webcast mastermind, next mastermind. 9th we meet again, and 9th to me is a big mastermind. In fact, I've asked again people from the organization from everywhere to come, because it's exactly 1 year since we started the webcast mastermind. And I really think it has been one of the most brilliant initiatives that we have taken, because last mastermind alone, last Sunday, I don't have the statistics of this mastermind. Last mastermind alone was witnessed in 130 countries. Okay. And the more and more I see about what the world claims as webcast, the more and more I feel very proud. I don't think anybody else has achieved the standards that we have achieved as far as webcast is concerned. Hats off to the entire team. Everywhere. I was walking in an indoor from the airport, met somebody who came and said that he's working for a central minister and he has been watching webcast. I saw a retired IPS officer in Ujjain and he said he has been watching webcast. I was just coming back to Indore. I saw a doctor there and she said the entire last 1 year maybe I would have missed only 2 masterminds. That's all. I've been watching. And there is everywhere. And there have been touching stories. In fact, in response to that one mail that came, the sort of mails that have come, which I want to read some of those on October 9th. There have been very, very touching expressions, and probably the most touching have been, in fact, that person has written itself, read emails like this also in Mastermind. Okay. And has written that I'm in the 4th stage of cancer. I don't even know whether I'm fighting months, because according to doctors, I'm either fighting days or weeks. But even today, I go around and tell everybody in the world, because of webcast masterminds, I'm excited to be alive. So please continue. So there have been so many touching emails that has come. So October 9th when we meet, we will celebrate. So next mastermind is not there, but we will experience it on the webcast. I really think it was a great initiative. Just for the sake of a few people, October 2nd last year only the decision was taken in Pune. Okay, we will start webcasting masterminds. I didn't even think the relevance of 10-10-10 when it was announced. And the number of active internet connections alone has been over 10,000 last mastermind. See, some of these internet connections, like I know one internet connection, 400 people watch in one place. I know there is an internet connection where 230 people watch. So even on an average, if we take 5-10 people, we are talking in terms of close to 40,000 people, other than the one who is sitting here, who are continuing to grow out of this entire initiative. I think it's been a brilliant decision, and we should celebrate the first anniversary of webcast. So we'll do it on October 9th. It will also be the coming of the new batch into the mastermind. So we'll have a grand mastermind, and from there move on. The bigger announcement. I really think after I took a decision to start Alma Mater, this decision has been the biggest decision. More than Frozen Thoughts, more than Top Gear, more than starting branches everywhere, more than starting webcast. I really think the biggest decision, if the biggest decision was to start Alma Mater, the decision I've come up with right now is the next biggest decision. When I go around and see everybody, so many of them need these messages here. We have to touch lives everywhere. So much has to be done. So much has to be done. And the more and more I go into the world outside, like I know one world, this world is called the world of Almanites. There is a world of, if I have to use the word, devotees to the messages of Alma Mater, to the teachings of Rajan, how they are holding on and living their life. And there is a enormous world, especially when I sat here and saw people, the sort of seeking they have, and they need to be addressed. A lot has to be done. Right now, by entangling myself into everything, I realize in the last 3 years put together, I've only done 3 sets of batches, which means I've just rolled out 300 Almanites in 3 years' time. And the number of lives that we have to touch, I just realized by taking in everything, including infrastructure, I'm just becoming a bottleneck to the number of lives that we can touch. I'm not disturbing the masterminds. I'll continue to do masterminds. I'm not disturbing this at all. But I really think the time has come where Chennai also becomes a chapter like Bangalore, like Jaipur, like Pune. Chennai also has a dedicated trainer. Because 2 months it takes to complete a double batch. And if Chennai has a dedicated trainer where there is a training that's going on all the time, we can probably roll out about 500 Almanites per year. And that will be touching a lot more lives. And I will be free to go around and do so much more. So much more needs to be done. A lot can be done. I know that 300 people who want me all the time. I can in fact create context by which I can do a lot more with those 300 people. I'm not touching mastermind at all. Everything continues to be the same. But I've taken this decision that, and it is not a decision to be mourned, it's a decision to be celebrated, because I really think it's going to create a lot more Almanites in Chennai. 2, it's going to free me of the time that I get locked into a classroom and help me to do a lot more residential programs, not going anywhere. Mid-October, There was somebody who wanted a 3-day spiritual retreat in Sydney, not taking it up. There's a set of people who have been asking me to come and do a program in Dubai, not taking it up. In fact, they were asking me, what do you want us to do in indoor? We will do. Just come and go. You can make a difference in not taking it, because frozen thoughts, classroom sessions, infrastructure development, masterminds. Somewhere when I was teaching in the class about developing an organization, I was telling them, if what can be done by others can be done by others, what you alone can do, you can do. If you keep doing what can be done by others, what you alone can do will never get done. So somewhere the decision has been taken that Chennai will become a chapter by itself. And yeah, you should celebrate. I think it's a big decision. I think it's a big decision. Which means almost every 2 months we can have a batch in Chennai. That many more people can be trained. If somewhere a Deepak Shinde can explain to people in Bangalore and Alma Mater ways of living life, if Vinod Damne can explain to people in Jaipur an Alma Mater way of living life, if Satya, Deepak Basani in their respective chapters can explain to people an Alma Mater way of living their life, we should be able to have somebody who can explain to people in Chennai also an Alma Mater way of living life. And let them become an almanite through a trainer. Let them go through the entire mill. Let them eventually reach this stage. And from there we can take it further. And there's a lot that can be done. There's a series of decisions that are coming. I've just announced the easiest decision right now. But I call it a big decision because I know the next 4 days will be my last 4 days inside the classroom. I'll be walking into the class for the last time this Thursday. I know there's a lot of emotions associated to it because it has been everything to me. It's been my prayer. It has been my meditation. It has given all of you to me. It has made Alma Mater what it is today. It's in the process of taking the classes that I've discovered everything that I've understood about life. It's been everything to me. So it's not been an easy decision. But sometimes when you look at a bigger frame and the larger perspective, certain decisions have to be taken. You have to subordinate your likes and dislikes to the purpose of what can be created. And I don't think there's any regression. It's just an announcement that has to be made and move on. Soon we'll have a very fine man. And it will become a chapter. From there we will develop the whole thing. Probably I'll wait for Top Gears to get over and then announce Chennai as a chapter with a dedicated trainer and move ahead. And the plans are big. The plans are humongous. And I really think this is something I've told early part of Top Gear to somebody. If you really love something that is very precious with you, share it with everybody in the world. If it is something that is bad, keep it with yourself. I really think Rajan is a very, very precious gift for all of us. We have a collective responsibility to share this Rajan with everybody in the world. And if that has to happen, I think I'll have to come out of locking myself inside the class for 2 months. And because I'm not able to do it, I'm not creating enough batches. And because I'm not doing enough batches, we are not touching enough lives. So I think the time has come for Chennai to become a chapter. In fact, we will be starting a dedicated Alma Mater headquarters as an office by itself. Major plans. And you will get to know one at a time very soon. And just feel like saying, I don't know whether I should look up and say thank you for everything. Because it's been the most beautiful part of what any person can ask for in life. To commit himself to the becoming of people, evening after evening, evening after evening with us. I think today I'm even more dedicated than I was in the beginning. I'm even more sincere than I was in the beginning. Even more intense than I was in the beginning. And so you can take it this way. The latest batch was the penultimate batch that has come in, and we will roll out on Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday the last set of batch. And I don't think this is going to make it anything less. I think we are only creating a context by which the world will have a lot more of Rajan. And somehow I intuitively believe a lot of you, when you get to know the plans that I have, you will only get a lot more of me than you're getting right now, because that time is free from me. I can do a lot of things. So so much has been thought about it. If what I called as my religion, my prayer, my meditation, my all, and if I'm willing to let go, then there must be a much, much larger perspective to the whole thing, otherwise I wouldn't do it. But as much as I want to thank him, I want to thank all of you, because it's in teaching you I've discovered myself. Continue to teach you. I'm just coming away from the holistic course. Nothing else is going to change. The holistic course in Chennai will become a chapter by itself. And so much I discovered about myself, about life, and about God in helping you to discover yourself. In my heart, if the biggest decision of my life was to start Alma Mater, the next biggest decision has been to take this conscious decision that this will be my last week inside the classroom. Loving you all so much. Thank you.